Hey everyone, it's Fitz with the Walk and Talk. Wasn't a full press conference today. Got to read my emails better, you know. I thought we had the full on press conference. We just had Coach Kleiman today. No players, no lunch. I mean, you got to feed me, don't you? You know, my metaphor for sports writers is we're like bears. If you feed us, we'll show up, but eventually we'll attack you. That's about as spot on as any thought I've ever had. Jacob Parrish, true freshman out of Olathe. You know, we followed his recruitment really closely, in part because Ryan Wallace was always such a fan of Jacob. Always thought this kid is legit, he's big time. I mean, he's not overly tall, not overly physical, but his speed and his ball sense and all those intangible things that go with his raw speed, we're going to make him a player. And so there was kind of some talk about he might be a walk-on or blue shirt, and then he became a scholarship player. And the reason he became a scholarship player 100% was Chris Kleiman made sure that his staff understood that he was sold on Jacob Parrish, that he knew Jacob Parrish could be a really good player, that Jacob belonged on this team as a scholarship player. But that's not the story. The story is the fact that when asked what true freshman will probably play, the first guy mentions Jacob Parrish. Unbelievable. We're talking an undersized corner, but he has, as Chris said during the press conference, been fearless in going up against veteran frontline receivers for Kansas State. And I don't know, he might be in the two deep. So that says an awful lot about that. Clifton at linebacker is another guy to keep an eye on, because linebacker depth is the area that Coach Kleiman just said is his biggest concern in terms of depth. Because, you know, you do have a drop-off. Deuce Green's a whole different level of linebacker. Really, I'd say they've had some good linebackers here, but since Arthur Brown was here, haven't had one quite like Deuce. And so I think that's really impressive. But you got to keep him healthy, because there would be a sizable drop-off, even though there's these young guys and former walk-ons have really stepped up and asserted themselves. This was like the fall camp wrap-up as they head into, Coach said they're in a pseudo game week mode. So kind of replicating a game week right now. And then next week, of course, they will be in game week with South Dakota. So this is your last weekend before you need to be braced and ready to be wearing your purple every Saturday. Not an overwhelming lot of information that came out of that, but their love and affection for Adrian Martinez is so obvious now. If you missed it, 9 a.m. was named one of the 6 captains by vote of his teammates, 4 on offense, 2 on defense. I just said so much about the guy. I mean, he comes in, doesn't play in the spring, but befriends everyone across the board on this team, not just quarterbacks and receivers and running backs and linemen and the guys that have personal value to him on the field, but on both sides of the ball. But remember, Timmy Horn was named a captain last year too, and Timmy was a great leader, a natural leader, came in from Charlotte, and then never even started a game, but was that important to the team. So I find that really interesting, that Adrian has endeared himself to his teammates that quickly, that much, and it's impressive. It's really, really impressive. I got to admit, folks, I'm as excited about this football season as I have been in a long time. And not because they have incredible talent, which they do. My excitement stems from the fact that on top of the incredible talent is, from everything we're hearing, is the most cohesive locker room and coaching staff maybe in the modern history of K-State football. Now think about what I just said, considering what some of those teams were like under Bill Snyder in his 1.0 phase. But this coaching staff genuinely likes each other, top to bottom. Doesn't seem to be a weak link right now. And the locker room, I just can't tell you how many different angles I've heard this from, be it coaches or staff or players or parents. It's really, really cool. It's just amazing. Well, I'm going to wrap up this walk and talk. It didn't cover a whole lot, maybe a little bit. I just want to give you a heads up. Look out for an announcement from the GoPowercat staff. We have offered an NIL to 3 different players. It's not a big one, but it's kind of fun. So we'll have an NIL announcement very soon over at GoPowercat. And remember, folks, if you're watching on video, subscribe to YouTube and get ready. We've decided we're dropping a preseason show of the Friday walkthrough with Cole Carmody and Monty Spiller that'll be out this Friday. We're going to record that tonight in our studio so that we can kind of play with it and get the look just right. But the Friday walkthrough will come on Friday morning to YouTube and GoPowercat. Thanks for watching the Walk and Talk.